Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's that kid Greg back again with another off the cuff video. And now the reason why I did not do a gray area for Thursday is because I was working on the video uh, and I felt like it wasn't ready. I felt like it was incomplete in a sense. And so I scrapped it and I didn't want to put any like BS in its place because if I can't get a video out, I don't want to put something of inferior quality in its place. So I saved that video. It'll be up soon. And this off the cuff will be a sort of prequel to that video. And it is the rise and fall of Bernie Sanders. Let us get into this one. So the rise of Bernie Sanders is a beautiful one. It is, really. We had 2008, Obama takes office, and he runs on the campaign of hope and change and Shepherd Ferry posters. And he really gave people an idea that things can and would be different, you know? And it also helped that he was essentially the first black man to have a chance at the presidency, even though he's only half black. It doesn't matter. So we really just, everyone was like, yeah, he is going to be the one that makes things different. He is going to be the one that makes changes. He's going to be the one that brings the country out of this monotony of back and forth. And we're going to see real progress with him. And so people showed faith in him and pushed him into the presidency. And we got pretty much more of the same. And that's not a bad thing. He was handed a very terrible hand of cards by his predecessor. And so he did what he could. He got his Affordable Care Act, but a lot of his presidency ended up just being cleaning up a lot of the messes that were left behind for him, including the recession. And some might argue that we still haven't fully recovered from that recession, but it's better than where we were when he took office initially. So fast forward to our current election cycle, and this old hippie dude Bernie Sanders comes out the woodwork talking about, well, let's get some real change in this country. And he's giving all these policy ideas like, let's raise the minimum wage, let's tax the rich more, let us get these social programs for kids and maternity leave, all this cool stuff. And people are like, hey, this sounds like my guy. I like him. I like that he's running on like he really wants to change things up. He's not, look, we can look at his track record. He's always been for the types of things that he's talking about. He's never had a crazy amount of flip-flops. He doesn't want us at war all the time. He was one of the first people to say that we shouldn't be going to war in the Middle East. He's the guy. This is the man right here. You know, everybody wanted hope and change, and they felt blueballed, for lack of a better term, from the Obama administration. And so here we have this new guy who's like, I can do it, and people gravitated towards that. And so now he was constantly tying up with Hillary, constantly hitting neck and neck with her and the other, and you know, he got hit pretty hard. And what Hillary is good at, she is a seasoned politician. You know, she's been around the game for a while. She was a senator, she was Secretary of State, First Lady. She knows how things goes. And she knows that she knows that appearance is everything. She knows that if you look weak, people will perceive you as weak. If you look like you're not sure how you would get it done, then people will assume you don't know how you would get it done. And she used that to her advantage because she knows that Bernie Sanders is, for the most part, a peaceful person. We see this in his debates and stuff, you know. When the first Democratic debate, you know, a question comes up about Hillary Clinton's emails, and it was the perfect opportunity for Bernie to take shots at her. Like, yeah, look at all this crazy stuff going on with all your leaked emails and all the documents and all this shady stuff that you're involved in. And instead, he gives the classic, nobody cares about your damn emails. He swept it to the side and kept to his message, which is good. But at the same time, all that did was strengthen Hillary early on. That was a perfect time for him to take a shot, and he didn't. And you can see that he's not one who likes to bare his fangs. Remember in Seattle when he was going to a rally, and those 2 or 3 Black Lives Matter protesters showed up, started yelling and screaming at him, talking about, you have to let us speak, you have to let us speak. And he did. He totally did, even though they were saying the most outrageous stuff. This man marched with Martin Luther King in the civil rights movements, got arrested for being part of the civil rights movements, and y'all sitting there. You got these college students who weren't even born yet, weren't even thought of yet, yelling about how they had to deal with a bunch of white liberal racists, if I remember that correctly. It's so silly, and he should have never let them take the stage. But he did, because that's the kind of person that he is. And you can tell that that's the kind of person that he's the type of person who wants to hear everybody out, and he wants to give everybody a chance to fight on a fair playing field, and that is why he lost. Bernie was not willing to take the shots that he needed to take in order to get the vote, And another thing is, I like Bernie, but I don't agree with every policy idea that he had, but I liked him a lot. But a lot of the policy ideas that he had were very pie in the sky. They were very, like, if we all work together, we can get this. Very idealistic, very optimistic. And the fact is, people don't like idealists. Like, the world has it out for idealists. Whenever idealist pops up, they crush it. They're like, no, you have to come down to reality with the rest of us and live a miserable, shitty life with the rest of us. And that's why a lot of people opposed Bernie. They thought he was too idealistic. They thought he wanted too much. And then, they're the people that disagreed with him on principle. Like one of the policies that I personally did not like was raising the minimum wage up to $15 an hour. I thought that was silly. I thought that was putting a Band-Aid on a leaking pipe. It might hold the water back for a little bit, but give it a little time and it'll be leaking all over again. But this is not the fall of Bernie Sanders. His loss is not his fall, strangely enough, because even after he conceded to Hillary Clinton, essentially, he was still getting concessions from the Democratic Party. He was still having other candidates change their outlook in order to try and pick up his voters, his supporters, which is very, very important, because that type of influence, even if you aren't the president, is powerful. You have people behind you who believe in what you believe in, who are saying, we will not support you unless you support the policies that this man put on the table. That's strong. But here is the fall of Bernie Sanders. The fall of Bernie Sanders was him saying that we must support Hillary Clinton. This man got booed at the DNC, the Democratic National Convention, because of this. And the reason, people felt betrayed, because we the people know how Hillary Clinton operates. We know that she's another status quo. We know that she runs on the platform of, I'm going to get things done. I'm the pragmatic. I do things to get them done. I'm not overly idealistic. I'm not overly optimistic about the crazy things we get. I do what we can to make sure that the Republicans don't win. She was the status quo. She was the establishment. She was the one getting money from Wall Street donors and all that type of stuff. And that's not what his supporters wanted. And that is essentially why he fell from grace. You know, had he come out and supported somebody, like Jill Stein or Gary Johnson, I know that he probably wouldn't come out to support Gary Johnson because Gary Johnson is a libertarian. But, you know, had he come out for another alternative candidate like himself, it would have made much more of an impact. And we would have seen those people who were ready to support him and had their hopes up high would have moved to wherever he said he was, to one of these third party candidates, had he had said it. And the thing is, we know that third parties usually don't win. But the only reason third parties usually don't win is because we have this notion that if you vote for a third party, you're going to split up your own party, and then we're not going to be able to beat the bad guys. The bad guys. I hate political parties so much. I hate the idea that it's us versus them all the time. Like, the tribalism is ridiculous. But, all his talk about we must defeat Donald Trump, that was his fall from grace. Because when we started with him, he was not a Democrat. He was not a representative of the Democratic Party. He was that old independent hippie guy from Congress who's been saying the same stuff since day one, who decided we need this on a presidential scale now. And we didn't vote for the guy who's like, look, we need to maintain the status quo in order to keep things from being shaken up, because we wanted things to be shaken up. We wanted them to be shaken up a little differently than maybe the Trump supporters, but we wanted things to be shaken up. And so we lost that when he came around and said that. And I know, like, the movement is bigger than the man. He really started a revolution despite not becoming the president, but it was a fall from grace from him. And I don't know, like, I don't think he can run again. The dude is old, but if he was to run again, I don't know if I'd be able to put my faith in him. I don't think I could. Because before, my criticism of him was strictly on certain policies. And now my criticism of him is, if things get tough, will he step up to the plate or will he back down? And that is I feel like that's more important than just a disagreement on one or two policies. But that's just what I think. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below. Thank you guys for listening. The Gray Area will be back soon. If not this Thursday, I will do it earlier. Like, I might skip the next Off the Cuff and do the Gray Area on that Tuesday. So be on the lookout, and I will see you guys soon. Thank you.